Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. We're talking Satellarknights in this video and we're asking the question, bro, do you even know about Satellarknights? And I know a lot of people out there are probably screaming at the computer, what are you talking about, G? I'm a huge Satellarknight fan, but I'm kind of speaking to the masses. Like, from my perspective, it looks like nobody's really acknowledging their presence or potential, and a lot of people have said, you know, come on, G, we all know about Satellarknights, but I mean, I look around and it's like, well, I don't really see any big YouTubers doing any in-depth discussions about them or deck profiles. I mean, if they're out there, then for the life of me, I haven't seen them. And I'm just sort of learning about the archetype. I don't really keep up with the OCG that much. And kind of the rumblings that I heard about, you know, Satellarknights was they were very rank 4 based and without Shockmaster and something called Stars or Wraps. I don't even know what those are. That they weren't going to be that great in the TCG. That was kind of the rumblings that I heard from people when, you know, they were talking about Satellarknights. And let me tell you, after seeing these little motherfuckers in action, I'm just like, what are people talking about? Like, why would they believe that? Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that when a deck is really good in the OCG, and then when it translates to the TCG, you would obviously want it to have all of its power plays. But, you know, that doesn't mean that a deck can't be tier 1. Case in point, when Synchro Cat first came to the TCG, we didn't have all the OCG synchros. Like, we didn't have Baronic and all of that stuff. And what did the deck do? I mean, it basically tore shit up from the day that the 2009 starter deck was released. And, you know, Konami ended up doing, like, Banhammer on shit, like, you know, limiting Rescue Cat and Cold Wave and a whole bunch of other shit in the deck so that they basically could just rip it apart. Now, without me really knowing much about Satellarknights, I started reading the effects in basically every match where I saw, you know, Satellarknights were playing, and I gotta say that I was pleasantly surprised. Like, there are some monsters where you're just like, oh, okay, this archetype seems pretty decent, but it seems kind of easy to stop. With this archetype, I was like, not really seeing a lot of, like, downfalls, not really seeing a lot of, like, Achilles heels. I mean, first off, there's DNAB, and he's basically Stratos, except he works when he's flip summoned, so, I mean, that seems really, really legit. He's 1500, that's pretty solid. Next, there's Altair, who is basically, I mean, he's a fucking theme version of Wolfbark, except it's actually better than Wolfbark because for some stupid reason, I'm pretty sure that you can get back Xyz with the effect, and this is the part that blew my mind. It took me like a couple of times seeing it happen before I actually realized, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm fucking sold on this card. When you summon monsters back from his effect, they actually get their effect too. So basically, it's like pluses for fucking days, son. And then, you know, what kind of tied everything together for me was obviously they have their own Infinity Barrier, which is called Satellar Nova Alpha. And I already kind of knew about Nova Alpha. I mean, I had heard that Satellarknights had a really legitimate counter trap. So I looked at that card and I was like, okay, well, if nothing else, they've already got like one amazing card going for them. What I didn't freaking know is it triggers the Xyz monsters, which is insane because basically, if you use this card with any Satellarknight Xyz, you end up going plus. So that just seems to be like the central theme of this deck. Like, how much can we plus? Like, literally, Satellarknights seem like gadgets, just like way better versions of the deck. And I also just like the fact that they're all light and they're all warrior. I mean, Rhoda just went to 2, so basically if you're playing this deck with 2 Rhodas, I mean, you can get the anything you want whenever you want. And on the low, I kind of think that the reason that Reinforcements of the Army went to 2 was because of this deck and because it facilitates all your plays. And I just like that the fact that they're light. I mean, Star Liege, Constellar, Omega, they're really good cards. They're really good options that you can play in this deck just because you're light. Believe me, I know that being a Boojin player, I know that these cards can be amazing. Not to mention, with this deck, you also get to make Excalibur. I mean, that can kill Apoquiloff Killer. The card can also help you OTK. I don't know. I mean, being able to splash in Honest, this deck just seems really, really good. And I'm not quite sure what to make of Starbridge yet. Like, I can see some of its uses, but it doesn't blow me away like Alpha does. Alpha is just, that card is fucking incredible. So right now, I am personally very hyped about this archetype. I mean, just because, if nothing else, they got a bunch of versions of limited cards. Like, they have their own Wolfbark, they have their own Stratos, they have their own Infinity Barrier, and they're rank 4 base, but unlike, you know, Bujin and Evil Swarm, they've got a rank 4 that requires 3 monsters that they can just summon insanely easy. They've got another one in the OCG that's incredible too, and I understand that, you know, without Shockmaster they do lose a bit of their potency, but I think that this deck is going to be tier 1. That's just my personal, you know, my personal 2 cents on it. It isn't graveyard based. It doesn't need any one particular element to plus or to win, in my opinion. Kind of looks like gadgets redone. I don't know. I think that the game's history has shown us that if you're just a rank 4 base deck and you can summon rank 4s quickly, you can be a tier 1 deck. So that's what I'm expecting out of this deck. Let me know what you guys think. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribing makes life happy.